Greetings, this is Greg. I wanted to discuss electronic throttle controllers, specifically the one installed in my 124. Throttle controllers are pretty popular because modern cars have electronic or drive-by-wire throttles, and the amount of pedal sensitivity can be easily adjusted with some aftermarket devices. And there are many of them on the market. We carry two at Euro Compulsion. We carry our house brand, and we carry the Vaitrix model, which is a slight step up from our house brand. Both are exceptional. I'll explain why I have the Vaitrix one in my 124 in a few moments, but first, let me give you a quick tour of it. Right now, it's in standard mode, which means it's essentially off. And when it's off, well, it is off. It's not essentially off. It's not doing anything in terms of throttle signal, but when it's in this mode, it acts as a voltmeter, so it shows system voltage, which is somewhat useful. Now, there's a mode select button. The first mode that comes up when my cell phone focuses here, you'll see in the bottom left corner it says Eco, and there are 7 levels of adjustment here, and the idea is that this will give you improved fuel economy if you're a lead-footed driver, or more likely the use for this is in slippery conditions. In the 124 it's great if you're on snow or ice. In the Jeep Renegade, my son has one of those. Sometimes if you're off-roading in mud, it's very slippery, and the Eco mode gives you a greater degree of control in the first portion of pedal travel. So it's helpful. In fact, it probably should be called slippery or off-road mode, but in any case, it's called Eco mode. Then the next mode, let's come back to that one. The more common mode is sport mode. This has, I think, a greater range of selection and a greater range of effect than any other controller on the market. It has 13 settings of increase. I normally use 2 for a tuned car and 4 on a non-tuned car because the tune adds a little bit of throttle sensitivity. But in any case, I can't imagine this device not having enough range of adjustment to satisfy even the most hardcore enthusiast. It can make the throttle either standard or just incredibly sensitive. Like I say, 2 is fine for me. Another mode here is the SPP mode. Notice these lights blinking down. That's a countdown timer. While it's in SPP mode, the car is essentially ready to drag race. It makes the pedal incredibly responsive, and it's really just for drag racing or the stoplight Grand Prix. I personally don't find it all that useful in a manual transmission car, especially a tuned manual transmission car, because you've got launch control anyway. But in an automatic transmission car, it's really nice, and it's somewhat fun to use. Those lights at the top, those will normally indicate throttle position. Like I will, well, let me put it back into sport mode where it'll indicate that. So those indicate throttle position, which is very useful sometimes if you're trying to diagnose a problem. If your car is losing power at a certain point in the RPM range, you can get a pretty good idea if it's because it's closing the throttle or not. So those lights do double duty. Throttle opening, or in SPP mode, they're a countdown timer. So those are all the modes except for it has a immobilization or anti-theft mode. I'm not going to demonstrate it for obvious reasons, but if you put it into that mode, it will make the car undrivable. It will sit here and idle, so you could get out of your car while it's warming up, or if you're running into Starbucks to get coffee and you want the car to be warm when you come back, it's good for that. And you could leave your key in the car, which you'd have to do in this car because it's a keyless, it's one of those key fob deals. So nobody could drive the car off because it won't respond to the throttle until you put in the proper sequence of button pushing to release it. And it's a fairly strong immobilizing device because it cannot be defeated by cutting wires or removing power from it. You would have to literally uninstall the thing in order to get around it if you didn't know the code. That's quite different from most of the other immobilization features in the other products on the market. And most of them, if you remove power, they'll just default to normal. But this one's not that way. So the immobilization in this is pretty strong. The reason that I have this one compared to our house brand, like I say, they're very close. I mean, this one I like a little more, but it's also like $20 more. So I don't know. It's a very close toss-up. But the reason I use this one is because on this one, the power wire comes out of the left side. and I like to be able to work this thing with my right hand. And it's just the other one, the power comes out, the wire comes out of the other side, which makes it easier to mount on the left side, and there's not as many good places on the 124. You can't really mount it in sight, I guess I should say, on the 124. So that's my only reasoning for having this one, but it is very good. It is slightly better. I think it's $20 more, which isn't really very much, I guess, but that's all I've got on this product. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hope everybody's having a great day.